Hello and welcome back to Arcane Rush. Now I hope you're feeling thirsty because we're going to be dealing with the Brews and the Dwarf. So with the Dwarfs, it's all about cheers abilities and triggering that. But before I jump into that, I recorded an absolute banger of a Dwarf video that was execute everything to perfection, getting everything when we needed it to be, and my face cam footage actually was corrupt. So I will release that, but it'll be a watch along where I'll be talking through what I actually already did. But I'm here to replicate that masterpiece and show how good the Dwarfs can be. But we have some tier 1s, right? So the main issue with Dwarfs, or kind of the main strategy you want to do, is getting cheers abilities to give them stats to get brews. And in previous seasons there used to be lots of ways to get brews, where there was a play, get 2 brews, sell, get 2 brews. There's just lots of units give you brews. Nowadays, in this season, it seems to be all about in-combat brews, which are the key thing in how you get stats upon them. So our tier 1 is Hammerhead Brewer, which is cheers, a cheers effect, gain 1+1 attack, give a brew to a random unit, so that's an in-game effect where he has to attack. We have the Gold Digger, which is player, your next refresh costs 1 less. It's essentially free because they don't cost any more than 2, unless there's some sort of hero ability that does that, which you pay 2 to refresh and you get a higher unit, but I've never seen that. So that essentially your next refresh is always free if you play this guy. We then have the Thirsty Scout, which is kickstart, give me a brew and 2+2. So she gets the brew stats plus 2+2. Pretty solid, kind of goes to like a 5-5 at the start of the game as a tier 1. Can't really complain with that. But these kind of free tier 2 items is where you actually gain stats from in-game brews. This guy is hurt, give a brew to a different dwarf ally, your brews give an extra 1+1 while he is in play. And I say that because you can then have this one, which is All Heart Forge, which is play, give your brews an extra 2+2, and that is permanent. So if you play that and then sell it, the stats still stay there, whereas opposed to the other guy that we just mentioned, the Brewstone Sentinel, his stats are not permanent to the brews, so you have to have him on your board in order to get that extra 1+1. But then we have a guy which actually gives brews, which is a big Lubrowski, and taunt, kickstart, give a brew to 2 random allies, which can help trigger your abilities and also gain stats in the game. Tier 3 is a way to get some stats onto your brews as attack. Your brews give 2 damage this game, so that will stay permanently during your run in the actual brew session. So your brews can be pretty solid as it is. We then have the Highland Headhunter, which is a good tier 3, pretty solid to get in because you're looking for dwarfs to take damage but also survive. So when a dwarf takes damage, give your units 1+2. Then we have a cheers ability, which is give an ally 5+5 permanently. Now, I think this dwarf would have been fantastic in the other seasons where you could get brews in your hand a lot more easy, but this is in game, so it's gotta be hard, you gotta be triggering that quite a lot in order to actually see a real benefit from that. But as a tier 3, you can't complain getting 5+5 every time it's cheers. We then have the Underhill Accountant, which is cheers, give a random ally a keyword until next turn. 3 times that can trigger, but that is until next turn, so that keyword will disappear. If it's a good keyword, you'd kind of want to keep it, but it does disappear. We then have the Dwemer Infantry, which is cheers, give a brew to different dwarf allies, so you can be triggering brews to go left, right, and center, all over the place. He triggers twice as a tier 4. This guy's pretty good. He's usually kind of your main focal point, which is, no it's not, it's the wrong guy I'm looking at there. This is Lorekeeper Regent, which is attack, give a brew to a dwarf ally, so another attack ability to then get more brews. We then have the Cheers Union, which is when you trigger a cheers ability, give your dwarves 1+2 permanently. He is better than the Highland that we see across here because their stats are permanent, which is great because you always want stats to be permanent. If you trigger it with a 5+5, you're gaining like 6, 7 from just one cheers ability being triggered there. We then have the Grudge Bearer, which is avenge, give 1 brew to all allies. If that ally that died was a dwarf, give 2 brews instead. This actually turned out to be really good for me in my other run when this was paired with a tier 5, and I'll show you that tier 5 in a second, but I want to get to the main guy, which is Skull Grogmister. This is the boy I thought the other boy who had attack was. End turn, give him 3 brews plus 3+3. He's your main focal point. You get him as strong as possible. He scales really quickly. When you're playing all these other abilities that are making brews really strong, he's giving himself 3 of them. So even if you just played one of these, he will gain 9+9 every time you end a turn. That's fantastic, and you end up playing more. This guy could give some more brews to him. There's other abilities there. If you got this guy on the board, that's actually a 4+4, so you're getting 12+12 every time. We then have the Feast Master Brom, which is cheers, give dwarf allies 3+3 permanently, improve this 1 by 1 up to 3+3 until next turn. So that could go to a 6+6 permanent stats there that you're looking at, but it will drop back down to a 3+3 at the end of the turn, and then you'll need to rack that up again. But a 3+3 as a baseline is pretty solid. You can't really argue with that Is a tier 5 though, so is it worth the risk? If you have the right things in place to actually get that to trigger, that's definitely going to be worth the risk, because that triggers your whole board getting those stats rather than just certain allies there. We then have the Farak Copperhide, which is cheers, give barrier to a random dwarf ally, it attacks immediately. 2 times this triggers, but that can be fantastic. You're getting free damage because it will have a shield on it to then do some damage to certain units on the board and get that damage off nice and early. We have the Cheers Battle Mage Duran, which is when you have space, summon an exact copy of a different dwarf that died this combat twice. Now, for the reason you need to keep this in mind, right, is one that I struggled with, was the fact that he did not trigger. If the cheers effect happened before a dwarf had died, he wouldn't then summon it because he has been cheered. The dwarf ally would have to die first, then he would then trigger. So which is what comes in handy with the Avenge guy that we were talking about, wherever he is here. Avenge, give a brew. He then gives a brew to this unit that summons a unit back in, a dwarf ally back in, after that died, because he's avenging one, so he will avenge it straight away. Give that brew, that dwarf then comes back. You're getting that happen twice. If it is your big guy, or if it's any of the other guys on the board that are pretty statted up, even give brews to other units. That's good stats you're getting all across the board. And the mainstay is Corrin Stormhammer, which is give your units 2 brews, and that's just how you get brews onto the board to be triggering all these cheers effects to actually reap the benefits from it. Or we have the Toastmaster Forum, which is in turn give your units free plus free. Your brews also give free plus free, so your brews are stacking up if you have him on the board. If you have the other guy at the start who's like a red neon, who is when he takes damage, gives a brew. Plus, if you played any anvils is what I'd call them, but they're the all forge Heartstone or something like that, all heart forge. Your brews can get really strong. They do start off 101, but they can get really strong near the latter end of the game. And if you're summoning units, getting them stats, it's just a really good way to play. And let's try and replicate what I did previously, hopefully, but I am tilted because that footage was corrupted. Okay, so we have Dragon, Nord, and Dwarf, and it is now time to choose our hero. We have Kyoto Yama, which is the first time an enemy unit is summoned. In combat, deal 1 damage to it, or Kickstart, give your back row units 1+ damage every 2 coins spent last turn. I think generally we're just going to go with that hero. Pretty rare, and we will be spending at least 10 coins, so we get 5 damage to our back units, which will always come in handy in this matchup. We're hoping to see a dwarf. Well, this dwarf's kind of good actually. We could get him, he's a 4/4, good baseline stats, our next refresh is free. Potentially we just upgrade the shop next time. We win this one here because of the Berserk ability, having to take 2 hits, but we get that one nice and easily. We want to upgrade the shop because we want those tier 2s as soon as possible. So let's upgrade the shop here. I mean, we could potentially get him golden. Not really worth it though. I mean, a golden unit's always worth it. And we'll take the Dragon Heart Ruby. A very good one to have. We'll save the refresh for the next turn, so we also get essentially a free refresh, if that makes any sense. Okay, that was fine. We draw that one. The first attack really scared me there. I thought we were going to take the Link unit, then they would attack and kill us. And we ended up losing, but we managed to get a draw anyway, so that didn't really matter too much, but we did get what we need. Tier 1 unit, not too great, but let's go for a refresh. Another refresh. Another one. Oh, we didn't get what we wanted. Essentially could have had that golden right now. There's a couple of ones that we could have had golden, but we're kind of looking for the anvil or the hurt, give a brew to a random unit. Essentially looking for the anvil to begin with though. We do lose this one, so that will be interesting. I think we're in a good position having 4 trophies on the board as it is. Keeps us in a good position with also being at tier shop 2. If we don't see anything, I'm just going to scale again because I want to get as high as possible. Probably lose the next matchup, depending who we're against. Someone close to us. We do have an extra battle in us. We're at 6/6/4/4. That will go up to an 8/8, I believe. The summon might kill us here. A 7/7. Okay. The summon really might kill us. Oh, well, okay. It's game over then when you look at it that way. Because I believe that. No, that's Avenge. Give 2/1 to undead allies. So we could have potentially won that one. But we have one matchup left. All we need to do is just win. We're up against this person above us, which means if we win, we are in a safe position. Okay. I think we take this, give a rotate. Didn't really get much there anyway, so he dies, give 3+3 permanently to our other units, and when our dwarfs take damage, this guy gives a 1+2 to kind of help them survive like the Yeti Summoner. And they have 2 summons that will trigger now. The cat can be good, and that can be good as well. But 10, he survives because you've just done enough damage. 11, the first strike's not going to matter on that one. We'll need to see what else they summon, but we've got 3 units here, so it's going to be a good, strong unit, and it's not enough. We get through by the skin of our teeth, but kept pretty much all of our units on the board, except from that permanent 3+3, but we want him to die to get those actual stats into our system and have our units being pretty strong. I need a complete setup here though. I've not got what I wanted. We're looking for the anvil, any of the taunt, any of the tier 2 units. I'm at tier 3, I'm seeing tier 1s, 9 coins here, I could upgrade again. There's one taunt that gives abilities. A cheers ability triggered. And another refresh for the people. Okay, Blessing Matreon's always good. I will not grumble at that. I'll probably give the Blessing Matreon to my tier 2 unit that's got taunt. We're about to take a hit here, give it triggered a cheers ability that went to our strong guy that survives. Okay, that's good. Again, he's triggering again and taking damage. Fantastic, if you ask me. We're still in a good position. I do need to think about upgrading the shop to get to tier 4s though. But with the actually Blessing Matreon, I can do that. I'll sell this tier, well, this tier 1. Even though it's weaker on like paper, it's not as weak. I have potentially another refresh in me, so let's see if we see an anvil. Did see another taunt guy. Does anyone have 20 damage? They might, but that's a risk to take. Let's just take this one so we get some tier 5s in the mix. Well, we could sell that guy and get that taunt straight out. Let's do that instead. That's potential to trigger 2 cheers abilities, depending on where these brews go, and 2 taunt units are going to take damage, which will help scale up our other dwarfs there. That's 61, 62's good. No cheers ability triggered there. Cheers ability triggered there, which went to our taunt unit. Take that out, we survive. That's a 50, can we take that? I think we have to take the rest of the board first. We can take it, we will take it. And I think we might survive, yeah, we will survive. Great. Yes! Okay, he's actually pretty good. The Highlander healer or whatever he's called. The one at the back left is actually pretty solid at the minute for getting us to there. We're getting no brews permanent buffs, which is really scary. We're looking for tier 5s now because of our relic. Kickstart, give a brew, which is going to trigger another cheers ability. Show me an anvil. This guy is actually quite good, but I need avenge for him to actually be beneficial. I'll take him though. And then we'll rotate. No anvil! No permabuffs on the brews. But these are going to be solid. This guy's kind of getting the permabuff with the cheers ability there. And honestly, how can we actually grumble with that? Let's see, we've got 3 kickstart abilities, which will give 4 brews to all our units, but they're all 1-1. And this might just be enough. The 2 5s are good there, actually, to who they went to, because their people were potentially going to keep on the board. Wiping ninjas out, but they do summon stuff. Not enough, though. They're not going to summon enough. So we will take a heart from this person. Lots of damage being had. That's could be scary eventually, but it's not scary right now. I mean, look how solid our dwarfs are. They're permanently just staying where they should be. I'm looking for permabuffs on brews now, though. We've got a complete setup. I need an anvil. Show me an anvil. Ooh, he gives barrier after trigger cheers. Okay, we'll take him. No, he's the avenge, which is good for this one. Okay, hold on a second here. He's also good. I was potentially looking at selling him. A permabuff on a brew, but not really what we're looking for. We need that anvil. Who do I play here? Avenge gives brews, which will trigger a cheers ability. Yeah, and we're going to avenge with these 2 dying instantly. Some more cheers abilities being triggered here, which will give permabuffs, permanently buffs to our units. Dragons looking strong. That shield will probably kill us. Some more there, and another more there. So we are like solid standing. We've got Avenge, which will trigger another cheers ability, give 5+5, and this Dwarf, so it's triggered 2. They're getting pretty solid there, but that shield is going to ruin us because it's going to go to the one that couldn't afford really to go to. Another Avenge being triggered. So 45. No. Okay, I mean that's pretty fair, right? They were pretty strong. We didn't maybe time if we don't get that golden or any permabuffs. Go trigger that Avenge, give a brew to bring some units back in. But I do have this guy, so who do I get rid of? I really need this golden... Oh, that guy's good. When you trigger Cheer's ability, that's good. Okay, let's remove him, buy him. Please show me an anvil. Oh, we got a golden unit though. That did not matter too much. We got the golden unit, which means we free up space on our board. We can then discover a tier 5, and then our kickstart ability there, which will then enable us to... You give 2 brews to 2 random units. What's the point of you being gold? Oh, give a brew, so you give 2 brews. So that's 2 cheers abilities. This guy's going to scale like crazy right now. And avenge on this guy. I might go here. That's going to seem crazy. But let's just see how that works. We've got 2 hearts to kind of mess around with here. They're solidly strong enough where we will see there's a cheers ability triggered. Yep. Some more cheers abilities being triggered. He's at 21, 23. That might be because of the brews. But some more cheers abilities triggered there. And again, no one dying though. No one dying, which is fine. We do lose one of our cheers abilities, which is going to help that. Because he's given 5, some permanent stats there. Another cheers ability being triggered. Okay, that's a strong unit though. We haven't taken it out, we lose our life. That's fair. It's now time to bring in the other dog, which will bring back a unit once a cheers ability has been triggered, because we're just missing out on that. Just missing out. And unfortunately, it will be time to get rid of him. Not a single anvil, by the way. Can we just clarify that? That's crazy. Okay, let's do this to play this. Still no anvil, a permanent buff, but you need to attack. It's too late in the game for you. Still, wow, still no anvil. Crazy. Anyway, well, cheers ability will trigger after a unit is avenged there. So what do we want to do? What do we want to do here? Where do we want this guy? I need this to be this kind of setup. So he brings back units after they die because of the avenge situation, which will potentially give back the taunt unit there. And it could be game over though. That's a really strong dwarf for us to come up against. If we got buffs on our like dwarfs at all, that would have been crazy. But we do bring one back, so will it be? Could be. We're trading unit there. That only happens twice, so he's going to bring him back one more time. And there we go for that. I just think that dwarf, that demon, is just too strong, and it could be all over for us here. It is too strong, because that's going to summon another one that they've discarded. That does that. That's game over. We done quite well though. And obviously it wasn't the best showing of dwarfs, in my opinion, but I thought that was pretty solid there. And how they actually looked. We managed to get 4th. But you can see what we're making up there. If we got a roll of an anvil, that would have been crazy. But you can see the making of dwarfs, and I'm not going to dwell too much on that because I have a great one of a watch along coming up just after today's video. So be sure to check that one out, and you'll actually see dwarfs in a much better fashion. Again, so tilted did that happen. Let me know how you guys are getting on with dwarfs and what scale you're actually getting them to. But until then, I shall see you guys on the battlefield.